What's up, everyone? Ace of Spades here, top 10 tank and former contenders player. So, Kiriko, pretty dang OP, but does have a high skill ceiling. So, let's talk about her abilities and the best playstyle to use so you guys can dominate your matches. Alright, so, first thing about Kiriko is her passive. So, she can wall climb for free, which, pretty OP. For positioning, you can go high places, you can go low ground, get back to high ground if whenever you want. So, really strong. Make sure you're using this as much as possible. It does have a distance, so if you just hold space to wall climb all the way, it does stop you off at a certain thing, so you can't just wall climb infinitely high. But you can stop it halfway, go high ground, go back up again. Also, you can use it to get shots in, climb, wall climb, stuff like that. Just there's limited possibilities, so make sure you're using your wall climb as much as possible. All right, so the next thing that Kiriko has that no other ability has is she has 3 times headshot damage. So if you just normally hit a training bot, 40 damage, but if you hit it in the head 3 times, so 120 damage. If I'm doing my math correctly, hopefully we could do that. But yeah, so 3 times headshot damage. Try hit headshots as much as you can. Since you do have that extra bonus, and it's just pretty much you can 2-shot widows that are trying to snipe you, any 2-shot any squishies, or even if you just do like a normal shot on somebody, hitting a headshot pretty much either gets them out of the fight or will kill them. So yeah, one tip that helped me aim easier with Kiriko is I did swap my left and right clicks. So how you do that is you just go to options, change hero, find where Kiriko is, and then scroll down a little bit down, and then I changed my primary fire to right click and my secondary fire to left click. And the reason why I did this is because it feels a lot easier to aim while shooting with the left click. It just seems more natural, and then healing right click, it's just a lot easier than having to try and shoot with the right click and then aiming with the left. I don't know, just didn't really make much sense. And kind of like with BAP is aim with left, heal with right, so it's kind of just like keeps it more like uniform, and your brain's working the same way. So that's just something that helped me out, so feel free to use that. You see if it helps you too. So next up is her healing. It isn't the best of burst healing, as you can see. It does have travel time, recharges automatically though, so you don't have to worry about hitting reload or any of that stuff. But so like if you are far away, it does take time to travel. If you're up close, it goes faster. But if you are positioned kind of far back, be aware that if you're trying to like heal, it doesn't go through walls or something. So if they're like jumping around doing stuff, you have to try and like position yourself in a way that you can get the heals off to them without them running away and going behind a wall, and then your heals are pretty useless. So one tip for the healing that I did is, as you can see here, before manually it would just recharge and go through your whole entire set of 5 heals, but you can make it so you can do 1, you can do 2, you can do 3 on somebody, 1, something like that. So you can change this by going to options, heroes, Kiriko, and then where is it, toggle healing of Buddha, you do that off. And what this allows you to do is, instead of having to like sit through the whole animation then shoot, you can just do like a couple, get more shots off if you want. So do 3 shooting, 2 shooting. It just makes it feel more like natural, and plus you get more shots off. Maybe a situation happened where you had that split second sooner, you could have shot somebody without needing to heal your teammates the full 5. It does make a big difference, so there's no reason not to do it. It's pretty much just like a thing that helps you. You can just hold down right click if you really wanted to do like all of them. So no reason not to put it on, and it just helps you. So go ahead and do that change. Probably one of her most unique abilities to Overwatch is her shift. So this allows you to shift to your teammates no matter how high they are. You can shift through walls, or teleport through walls, I guess I should say. And it just helps you get out of like any sticky situations. If you need to try and find yourself off of Narnia, you can just be like, oh hey, let me teleport to your teammate. We'll wait for it to be up in like 4 seconds, and I can show you that teleporting through walls and stuff lets you do that. So you find yourself low ground, somebody's diving you, you can, you know, shift up to like a Pharah, you can shift up to any of your teams in the back line. This kind of just, as we'll talk about a little bit later on, for like the best play style to use for her. But, you know, being able to just escape from, you know, dives and stuff like that lets you like take a little bit more aggressive positions or off angles by yourself, and then, you know, bait dives, go other way, like, you know, teleport away from them, you know, or, you know, teleport to a teammate to give them, you know, heals if they, you know, get super low, or, you know, use your immort as well as, you know, which we'll talk as the next ability. So make sure you're using your shit as much as possible, and yeah, it's really, really good. Kiriko's E, the Suzu immort, cleanse, pretty much everything you could possibly want in an ability is right here. It's very much, I don't know, probably one of the stronger abilities in Kiriko's whole hit, just based off of being able to give immort. I did it a little second later, so, you know, those bots died, those bad men get wrecked. But it does cleanse, so if you see an Ana get like a huge anti, Junker Queen ults, you can use that to cleanse any of those. It does also give like a brief, like I think it's like 50 heals, so, you know, heals your teammates, immorts them, cleanses them. A couple things you can do with the cleanse is, you know, if they are shattered, you can cleanse the shatter. If you're slept, you can cleanse the sleep, which is, you know, pretty strong. You can, if you time it right, you can cleanse Diva bombs, you can cleanse tiny moves, pretty much like any one-shot ability, including hook. If you immort them, the hook just goes right through them. So if you, you know, possibilities are like endless. If you're in a good Kiriko, you can like cancel out all these type of abilities and, you know, piss off the enemy team. So make sure you're like looking for chances to use it, but you also have to be careful when using it, since if the enemy team does see you, you know, just throw it out there just to heal a teammate that was like, you know, full HP minus a little bit, they will use that as a gauge trigger. So make sure you are, you know, using it wisely, but are using it as much as possible to give your team an advantage. So the next all-star ability in her kit is her ultimate. So this is, you know, probably one of the crazy ultimates in the game too. Pretty much every ability that she has is super strong and, you know, borderline OP. But yeah, so her ultimate, really good. When you use it, it goes in like a rectangle in front of you. You know, you see some cool ass big walls come up, you know, it changes the color. But for stats wise and like what it actually does is it does give everybody, all your allies that are inside of it, inside the rectangle, 50% movement speed, reload speed, and rate of fire, as well as 3 times cooldown reduction. So when you're in it, you are just shooting fast, recharging your abilities fast. Yeah, it's just, you know, super good ability. You can combo it with a couple, you know, like Reaper, Soldier, or something. But here we'll go use that real quick. So you can see like fast reload time, you know, you're shooting super fast here, movement speed. Yeah, pretty much just all around great ability. Usually what Kiriko's like to do is right when you pop it, you use your immort just because it's gonna come up real fast, and that just makes sure, you know, all your teammates are cleansed, immorted for the little bit of like the full engage potential, since you are probably putting yourself out from cover for the first initial bit of like the team fight. So just giving yourself that advantage, you know, 1.75 seconds, you know, just invulnerability of not being able to get shot, and then it comes up, you know, a couple seconds later again, since you are in your ult. Just give your team, you know, a little bit of an advantage, and yeah, so use that as much as possible. The best use for her ult, I find personally, is you don't want to be comboing too much. Like, you know, if you have Visor, Dragon Blade, all that stuff, it is funny and fun to just use it all together, since you are like, oh dude, I'm gonna go get play of the game because I'm gonna swing, you know, ungodly fast, or I'm gonna Visor. Then everybody uses their abilities to do that. Since that's not the best way to use it, if your DPS can win, you know, by themselves, then you use her ultimate to recharge those abilities. Since her ultimate is really strong by herself, you can probably win the team fight without having to use any of the other stuff. So you exhaust ultimates, then you use her ultimate to rebuild everything. Since you do so much, you know, more damage because you're shooting faster, you can just recharge those faster. It's kind of the same thing with Orisa bongos. You pretty much would use her bongos to like recharge your own ultimates, or maybe one DPS ult, if you had like a defensive or something that you really needed to like try and win that fight on. So yeah, make sure you're not using too many ults with her, since it is super strong. You don't want to you need to be able to ult cycle, and that's how you're going to win games in Overwatch. So moving on to counters, she doesn't really have many counters really, since she can cleanse almost all abilities, teleport away from dives. She doesn't really, get killed by, most characters. It's mostly if you're out of position, or, your cooldowns are all on cooldown, or abilities are on cooldown, I should say, is when you want to get taken out. But I guess the ones you need to look out for is being able to get your Suzu off. So since it is a projectile, it can get eaten. So D.Va's probably one of like the bigger counters to Kiriko. Just you have to make sure, if you're getting dove, since she eats the projectiles and it's like a big, wide radius and for a pretty long time, you have to be careful when throwing it out to immature teammates, healing and stuff like that. Genji can reflect it. Orisa can use her, spear twirly, either to same with Sigma Grass, but unless you're playing catch with them and you're chucking it out, you're really not going to get those deflected or eaten. So D.Va is the only main counter. Also, it is, as you saw there, it does have a little bit of knockback. So, I don't know how viable this is, but if you did it close enough to an edge, I guess you could potentially get a Suzu kill. But it is a pretty tiny knockback, so the chance of happening probably pretty low, but it'd be pretty epic. So I don't know if you guys have any clips of you doing that, go put it in the comments below, and you can check that out, because that is definitely a rare occurrence if you can get a boop kill with Suzu, but that'd be pretty freaking epic. So yeah, those are counters, and yeah, not very many, so you're pretty much good to go to play her whenever you want. Now onto the most important part of her play is her positioning. So this is probably what most people have the most problem with and don't really know how to use her correctly. So for positioning, since she does have ranged heals, she has projectile attack, so it doesn't fall with any fall off damage. You kind of want to play her in a middle distance between your tanks and your other supports, or maybe your DPS. You don't want to be on the front lines, because then you get dove and you're just taking unnecessary damage, since you can be healing for free. You have to watch out for the LOS like we talked about earlier, and being able to aim your heals. So make sure you're in a position to be able to heal and do damage, but don't want to be on the front lines where you can get dove. And the reason for this is because you do have your teleport. So you want to try and be baiting the enemy team to want to try and dive you instead of your teammates. So if I'm up here, doing free damage healing, right? If they just don't worry about me, then perfect. I'm getting free healing, free damage, flawless, right? If they were to try and dive me, okay, so I'm, doing healing, damage, oh, dude, let's kill the Kiriko. All right, cool, they dive me, bam, I teleport in. Now they wasted their abilities, jump, dive, dash, all that stuff. So now they're behind there, wasted their abilities. Now that gives your team an advantage to, go kill the tanks. You can turn around and kill the people that just dove you. Now they don't have any escapes, and you're pretty much safe. So there's pretty much no downside to playing a high ground, a middle ground between your team, or an off angle. Make sure you're using those as much as possible, for those reasons that we talked about above. And it's literally just all positives, no negatives, since, it's, if you really needed to get a teammate healed, potentially you can, just teleport, cleanse, and then back up and go to your spot again. So, there's no reason not to be playing, an off angle, a high ground, a little bit away from your team to try and bait those dives, and just way better survivability. Because if you die as a healer, then kind of puts a lot of pressure on your team to try and win that fight and take it fast fight, rather than just playing slow, 3 times headshot damage. You're doing tons of damage and you kind of just win the fight. So make sure you're using your abilities and stuff like that to the maximum potential, and this is what this type of play style allows you to do. So yeah, do that. All right, so for support picks, she is good with. She kind of is almost good with any support, really. Her survivability and engage potential or ults and stuff like that, it's kind of just useful with every support. But probably the best one that works well with Kiriko would be Lucio. And the reason for this is Lucio kind of has really high survivability, so it pretty much makes the enemy team not have a support that they can dive, because if they try and dive a Lucio, wall right away, they dive you, you can teleport to, you know, the Lucio that's, you know, somewhere wall riding somewhere, or any of the other teammates. So it makes it so the enemy team doesn't really have a dive target to kill that's a squishy. As well as Lucio having a defensive ult, it kind of, since Kiriko is like a really good, you know, offensive, and it can be used as like a defensive ult because you build cooldown so fast. Having that Lucio beat helps you counter Kiriko's, as well as other, like, you know, Grav or something that might be coming out. So yeah, Lucio definitely the best support to use for Kiriko, but you can get away with using, like, you know, Ana, BAP, which are also really strong because, you know, double Immor. It's Ana has, you know, anti stuff, maybe force the Suzu, and then you engage off that. But yeah, so any of those three, definitely solid. But you can use all the other supports to make it work. But yeah, I'd say those are like probably like the top three you can probably look for, try and get your teammates to swap to if you are playing the Kiriko. For map picks that she's good on, pretty much good on every single map as well. Just because of her teleport and her wall climb ability, pretty much allows you to go to any high ground you want. You can fight on low ground, go to high ground, teleport to wherever your teammates are at. She doesn't really have like a counter, because, you know, if you on Zen, you're kind of stuck on wherever you're positioned. You can't really move to like high grounds, low grounds that fast. So just really, she doesn't really have that problem. So I wouldn't say she's bad on honestly any map. It's just based off around, you know, like the team comp and stuff that you are using, whether, you know, she gets the most value or not. But for map picks, you're pretty much solid to use her on any map that you want. All right, well, I think that wraps up about everything you need to know about Kiriko. Hopefully it was helpful for you, and good luck in those massive SR gains. You know, just make sure you're using all those tips, play styles, and stuff like that we talked about, and use her while she's still OP. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments what you guys want, you know, changed, added, you know, what you liked about these guide videos, since I'm still trying to like learn how to, you know, build and like structure it to make it the most useful for you guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys, you know, have any suggestions or anything that I can do differently for these, and I'll take it into consideration. Hopefully, you know, make some more top tier guides for you guys. Hey, by the way, don't forget to sub to keep up to date with all the guides to come, and till the next video. Peace.